It's the grand finale of the 2019 American Flat Track Championship, the Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys Meadowlands Mile. The second year in a row, we're going to crown champions just outside of the Big Apple.
Flat track motorcycle racing. Just to recall what it was like in the beginning, let us take a quick look back at the turn of the century. It takes stout lads like them to go for this kind of competition. It's trials like this that have made the two-wheel little giant the tough piece of mechanism it is today. Take a look at this motorcycle.
Each of today's races draws large crowds from all over the country.
It's a revolution.
Testing and bettering, testing and perfecting. Right on, cowboy.
The wave of the future.
You got a good start anyway.
Yeah, and we'll see how hot I was the whole time.
Every chance I get to race, I enjoy it.
What will you do? How hard are you willing to go? Will you let fear win? Or will you rise?
Big one for Jared Mead.
And find victory.
Shayna Hexter takes the win.
It changes the way we look at racing.
Briar Bellman has already locked up his first ever championship in the AFT Twins division, but he has never won a mile race. And Jared Mees has won every mile this year. So a showdown looms in the Twins class. In the singles division, Dalton Gautier trying to complete a career comeback by winning the singles title. Last year's champion Dan Bromley in the Red Bull KTM, though, still has a shot at it. And in the production Twins division, it's been a lifelong dream for Corey Texter to win a title in American Flat Track. It's the Yamaha man, Colby Carlisle, surging late, that will try to deny him that in our series finale. Jason Wygant joined by master wheelman AJ Allmendinger, Kristen Beat. We'll be reporting from the racetrack and what a track we have here. This complex, both the football stadium and the mile horse racing track we'll be using for racing. At our last mile event, which was in Minnesota, we had a big crash, and we sent out a get well soon to a couple of the riders, James Monaco and also Jay Maloney. But Maloney, being a home track hero out of nearby Oakland, New Jersey, despite his injury, wants to come back and still compete tonight in front of the hometown fans. So let's get an update from Jay with Kristen.
With a hard get-off in Minnesota, Jay Maloney racing here today after suffering a dislocated right elbow. Jay, how have you been kind of treating that injury this week?
Yeah, it's been real difficult. We got back Monday, made sure it wasn't broken, had some x-rays done, and we just been at it. I have a physical therapist, doctor that specializes in sports injuries, and every day, 2 times a day, this whole week we've been working on it, and we've made leaps and bounds, but we're still struggling.
You had told me that if it were any other racetrack, you wouldn't be racing here today.
No, I wouldn't be. This is a hometown track for me, so I live a half hour from here, and a lot of sponsors, friends, family. That's the only reason why I'm riding today.
We will see how he does. Here's your point standings in the Twins class. It's all over at the top.
Championship, Briar Bauman, it's really been a season of consistency for him. Only a few wins, but every weekend he was up front, didn't make mistakes, and that's what led to his championship.
Yeah, and it just has enough to have it wrapped. Here's more on our new champ. And for the first time, he is a champion in American Flat Track.
Being the 2019 champion, it means 16 years of dedication to a sport that I didn't know was going to repay me in this way. Giving back to my family, my friends, everyone that believes, means the world. I didn't realize how mental this game is until I was in the position where I was the guy leading everyone out every weekend and had to take on that challenge. I've never faced anything like that before. If I didn't have the support group that I did, I don't know if I would have made it. I was good at the track once I got with everyone, but I was pretty broke down at home. I had some injuries that I dealt with that were really, really scary for a second. The week before Springfield Mile, the first one when it rained out, I crashed my motocross bike. I messed my wrist up, didn't know anything was broken. Went through the week, went to Kentucky, got second, went home and had x-rays. I actually ended up breaking my scaphoid. Thought I'd be all right, but I actually needed to have surgery. So it's been a wild year. Dave, Michelle, and I started 3 years ago together. We showed up to Daytona with one bike. I think it ran for about 10 minutes before we got there, and we fast qualified the race. We didn't make the main because of mechanical, but we look at what was thrown at it this year, and it's actually kind of what we've dealt with our whole career together. We've kind of been behind the 8 ball for the last 2 years. So when we had something go wrong, we kind of said, is that it? We can get through this, no problem.
What a dream season it is. He's picked up the factory Indian ride. He has made the most of it. Your points leader is going to victory lane again.
The belief that Michelle's had when we line up and her cool, calm, and collectness is what has me here. She saved my career over and over again. To prove to everyone that, that just because I'm I don't want to say a dumb kid, but a dumb kid doesn't mean that I can't go out on the racetrack and be the best in the world. I want to get the Grand Slam. I'd like to win a mile. I just want to continue to grow as a person. I think if I grow off the track, it's going to make me better on the track. I want to be known as the guy or the #1 plate holder that gets along with everyone, the guy that everyone can look up to and appreciate that he's there. Not so much be like, that guy's a champion. I want to just be Briar Bauman. I don't want to be a different person just because I have a different number on my bike.
Well, he has stayed the same. Despite all the championship pressure for the first time, it never really affected him on the track.
And we just kept questioning it. Jared Mees kept making that push, trying to challenge him, but every time something went bad, Briar Bauman would come back. We even see in his championship race, goes down, they have to fix the bike, he fights back to win that championship and clinch it. We see there 15 podiums out of 17 events. That's how you get it done and win a championship.
It's really quite impressive, but the one thing he hasn't done is won a race on a mile yet in his career, so let's talk about the Meadowlands Mile. This could be the one.
We know the guy to beat, Jared Mees. He's going to be trying to finish the year strong, try to be undefeated on the mile racetrack. We see here open in the mid-1970s. The track is 90 feet wide, so it shows that there's multiple lines out there to race on.
And they'll be dealing with all the roost and everything else. That's all a part of American flat track. You see Brian Smith, he's a mile master. He would like to get the win. There are still titles on the line tonight, though, and that includes our singles class. Dalton Gautier, Dan Bromley, 2 riders with a shot at 1 crown. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys. If you go down, call Russ Brown. By Roof Systems of Dallas, Texas, the entitlement sponsor of AFT Singles. And by Cat Rental Store, the official heavy equipment supplier of American Flat Track. From the shadows of New York City, the Meadowlands Sports Complex in East Rutherford, New Jersey, title on the line in the singles class of American Flat Track. Here is your Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys look back. Dalton Gautier, welcome back to racing as if he hadn't missed a beat. Dalton Gautier's comeback includes a victory now in Atlanta. We got a championship story beginning to brew here.
Dalton Gautier, a little look over his shoulder. He's going to win another one.
Dalton Gautier is back on top. Bromley holds off Mikey Rush. That man is all about podiums.
Bromley's chipped away at his championship lead.
His specialty is consistency.
Super consistent, and that's why he's up there in the points.
Yes, Bromley's consistency has been the key to winning the title last year and maybe this year, but it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. Same deal. He's got to win a race.
Yep.
That's the only thing he hasn't done this year. And Dalton Gautier, he's gotten hot at the right time again, won races. Dan Bromley has to go out there to win, to have any shot to win this championship.
And then he has to hope. Gautier has problems. Here's your storylines coming out of our semifinal races. The spectacular rookie Dallas Daniels goes down, and then it's going to get worse because here comes Shayna Texter, nowhere to go.
Huge wreck. Shayna goes over the top of Dallas Daniels, over the handlebars of her KTM. Fortunately, they both would get up and make the main event.
A scary moment for 2 of the big stars of this series. Incredible that they were able to recover. Back to the racing after the wheel-in caution lights go off, and it is Max Whale out of Australia leading.
Dan Bromley trying to set the tone, win semi #1 to show he can go out there and win this main event. But Mikey Rush won our last event, would get around Whale down the back straightaway and ultimately win semi #1.
Armar Honda rider, 3rd in the series right now, wants to go out on top. Looking for back-to-back wins to end the season. Chad Coates got some help from the Joe Gibbs Racing folks with his Suzuki, but look at the drive of the Yamaha drafting in the back stretch. Ryan Wells.
Ryan Wells would get the help of that big draft down the back straightaway, hold off Chad Coates, pull away, win semi #2.
Wells, also former champ in this series, it's coming on strong late. Similar to the surge we saw from Rush. That could be a real showdown for them in the main event with a win. But of course, the points are the biggest story with Gautier trying to lock down this title. Let's send it to Kristen.
Guys, there's a question mark in front of what could be a championship-clinching main event for Dalton Gautier after blowing a transmission earlier this week. He has no backup bike, so they combined the best components of his A and B bike to ensure that he'd be competitive here tonight, but in an effort to preserve the motor, they skipped practice. They told me that the handling was off in qualifying. Surprisingly, he seemed calm. They've overcome adversity this year, so he's not shaken, but we'll see if the comeback kid can do it one more time and get it done this season, guys.
Well, here is the lineup. As I said, Wells and Rush fastest in the races to get to the main, but if you're Bromley, you got to leave it all out there and try to beat them.
Everything you have, got to go win the race. Dalton Gautier just got to stay upright to win the championship.
But that 14th spot on the grid, dealing with bike problems, it's going to be nerve-wracking. Bromley, I guess he's got less pressure at least, right? There's one thing on his side.
Yeah, he just knows he has to go win. That's all he has to worry about. But Mikey Rush going to have something to say about that.
Yeah, he has been strong as of late. Huge crowd here just outside of New York City. The Meadowlands Mile about to get underway. Going to do 12 laps on the big track with the singles class. Final race of the season. Can Dalton Gautier complete a comeback and get this title? And a good start for Bromley. He needed it badly, and he's got it. Gonna try to, yes, he shuts the door on the 15 of Rush. Now it's Wells around the outside trying to get Bromley for the lead.
Off turn 2 here, we see Mikey Rush side by side down the back straightaway, gets around Dan Bromley with ease into turn 3. He's gonna lead.
Wow, he got shuffled back and quickly moved right back to the front. Chad Coase on that Suzuki number 49. He won a race earlier this year, so he knows how to get it done, and he's right there with Rush.
Off turn 4, Mikey Rush is gonna lead lap number 1. He cannot win the championship, but with the win here, he can actually take second in points over Dan Bromley.
And that would definitely feel good for him. First-year program for him on the factory, a little bit of factory help. The RMR Racing Honda squad, they've been figuring out the motorcycle, the class, the tracks, everything else, and he is starting to pull away. Bromley and Coase in a good battle for second.
Coase got into turn 1, got a little bit wide, the bike started bouncing. He had to check up. We see Dan Bromley, Coase almost touching elbows into turn 3, but while this happens, Mikey Rush making that lead grow and starting to disappear.
I feel like in the second half of the year, you've seen more aggression from Bromley. He's the biggest guy out here, and he has not been afraid to make some contact, to make passes. He's got to be desperate now.
Well, let's call it what it is, Jason. He's frustrated. Yeah, he's battling for the championship, but he cannot get that race victory, and because of that, that's why it's going to take a miracle to win the championship tonight.
He's throwing everything he has at it to try to keep Rush in sight. Coase, Wells, all right there. Haven't seen much from your series leader, though. Gautier in the back. There is Ryan Wells, and the Estenson Yamaha just made the pass on Coase.
Listen to him on board, barely out of the throttles. Got that thing pegged off of turn 4, trying to chase down Dan Bromley for second.
Oh, it's a big load on these singles bikes, 450 motocross bikes converted over on a mile track. They are ringing them out. You can hear it, you can see it. Wells has got a bead on Bromley trying to take second.
You can see there Ryan Wells running just a little bit lower, trying to stay out of the roost of Dan Bromley down the back straightaway. They both have to work together to try to chase down Mikey Rush.
Yeah, so Rush, is he so far out now they cannot draft him? Are they close enough, or are they going to need to close it up a little bit more? What do you think?
I think they're close enough still just to get a sniff of that draft, but if Mikey Rush puts together a couple of great laps, he's going to break that draft, and they're just going to be fighting for second.
All right, so super critical juncture. 5 laps now complete in a 12-lap race. Just beginning now, the battle. Coase. Andrew Luker has got him, so Coase going a little bit back after getting a good start. Luker is lurking down on the low line.
Coase trying to use about all 90 feet of that racetrack through 1 and 2, but Luker holds on to 4th, starting to chase down Wells for 3rd.
You still have Gautier 14th. That's where he was on the grid to start this one. Bromley's not out front, though, so not a threat yet, but not a great run for Dalton. See if he can hold on.
See Dallas Daniels, Morgan Mishler battling for 6th and 7th. What a comeback for Dallas Daniels after a hard wreck in Semi 1.
The kid just keeps proving himself week in and week out. Got a win at the famous Peoria TT. Now he's showing how fast he can go on the miles. There's Rob McClendon. That is the man who brought Dalton Gautier back to this series, the Gobert Smash D&D Cycles team, and he is stressed out. Gautier's got to stay in the top 15, and they've got to hope that Bromley doesn't win this race. It's not over yet.
You can see there, Bromley starting to inch closer to Mikey Rush, chasing him down just a little bit. We're halfway home.
Everybody in the Dalton Gautier squad is getting nervous now because Bromley is not out of it. And Gautier back in 14th cannot afford to lose any positions. Three-way battle for the lead. They have done it. The 94 Brian Wells, the number 1 of Dan Bromley. They work together. They have caught the leader, Mikey Rush, here in American Flat Track.
With 2 to go, Mikey Rush holding on down the front straightaway. What does Wells and Bromley have? We know Bromley, he has to send it. Got to win this race.
Bromley right there doing everything he can to get Wells. They work together to get to the leader, but now they're going to work against each other. They both want to be in second and in position to make the pass. Let's see. On the backstretch, will Wells use the draft? He goes for it.
Wells into turn 3, trying to get around Mikey Rush, but we see on board the factory KTM, Dan Bromley, around the outside, into second, 1 to go.
He is rallying at the right time. If he can make the pass and get the lead and the win, and if Gautier loses another position or 2 back there, no! Look at Wells, takes it right back.
Wells gonna hold the throttle peg through 1 and 2, trying to get that drive off. Can he take the lead down the back straightaway? Mikey Rush, he's gonna hold on to it.
So another strategy play. Wells is gonna try the drive to the backstretch again. They're side by side into turns 3 and 4 for the last time.
Rush shuts the door, he holds the throttle down, it's pegged through 3 and 4. Can Ryan Wells get the drive off and have a chance?
He's got the draft. He might be able to use that. Here we go. They pulled away from Bromley. It's 1-on-1 to the line. And Mikey Rush ends the season with back-to-back wins. And he is pumped. Wells so close to getting his second victory of the year. Does not happen. He still congratulates Rush. That was a great race. Bromley, a quick look back, and you know why? He's got to hope that Gautier had a problem on the final lap. And there it is, no problems. Dalton Gautier crosses the line and is your 2019 AFT Singles Champion.
Wow, Dalton Gautier, just cutting it close.
Yep.
Struggled all night, but did what he had to do, wins this championship.
Well, it was the first time he was ever in this situation. There's the man they call Robbie Bobby, Rob McClendon, working with Dalton Gautier. We did not even expect him to race with us this year. Just days before our opener at Daytona, they put a program together and they win the championship. Mikey Rush, I believe it will actually vault ahead of Bromley for second in the series. As you see tonight's results, there's a celebration from Gautier. What a moment. It feels even better when you don't even expect it to happen.
When you're not expected to even race a week before the season starts and 2 days before Daytona, you put a program together and next thing you know, you're the AFT Singles Championship. What a year for that group.
And they are going to go celebrate. Yes, Rush does edge Bromley for second for the year. They went back and forth the whole season. Wells fourth, Chad Coase fifth. That's 5 different brands in the top 5 of points in that class. That is amazing. So Gautier is your champion. Mikey Rush is your winner. Let's send it to Kristen.
Your 2019 American Flat Track Singles Champion, Dalton. Nobody knew what to expect from a kid who 2 years ago was suspended from the sport. You went from borrowing bikes in Daytona to winning a championship. Dalton, throughout this season and all the adversity that you guys have faced, what kept you motivated towards this championship?
You know, I just wanted to prove all the doubters wrong, and that's what we did this year, you know. It was a lot of ups and downs, and we had a low-budget team, and all my sponsors came together and helped us get through the season, and there was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of stress, stressed out weekends and stressed out weeks, but we got Husqvarna's first championship in American Flat Track history, so couldn't be more stoked, and I just can't thank all my sponsors. I struggled so much here today, and I was really stressing all day, and I put it together for the main. I just wanted to ride consistent laps. Got sketchy a couple of moments, but we pulled through and won the championship, and I'm so stoked. I proved all the doubters wrong, and I'm back.
Also back, Mikey Rush had the points lead at midseason, had some bad races, lost track of the championship, but he has come back with a vengeance. He edges Ryan Wells for tonight's win.
Mikey Rush with back-to-back wins on the miles here in 2019. Mikey, what positives can you draw from this performance and this ride with the RMR Honda team in 2019?
These guys just gave me a good bike week in and week out and worked their tails off for me. So, like I told you the other day, I wanted to win this season on a high note, and getting back-to-back mile wins is the way to do it, I guess. I couldn't win the championship, but I got back-to-back wins at the end of the year. Big thanks to the whole Richie Morris American Honda team and just everyone that helps me out.
And they'll be back next year. Estenson Yamaha, a great season as well, with Ryan Wells finishes tonight's race up in a close second.
Ryan Wells closing out the season with a podium. Ryan, how were you able to shake Dan Bromley and secure second?
Man, it was tough. I was basically following their same line. Realized it wasn't working. I actually pulled a pretty good gap on me, so I just sent it onto the top and held it wide open, and it worked. Thought I was going to be able to get the win, but just came up short. But super big thanks to the Estenson Racing crew, Masha Energy, my mechanic Nick Daniels, just everybody for I think it's just awesome that we finished strong. You know, we had a rough mid-season, so to come back and rebound and get 2 seconds in a row, we'll take it.
And most nights, Dan Bromley would take a podium. He got it up on the box again in third, but he will have to hand over his #1 plate tonight because Dalton Gautier is your Roof Systems AFT Singles Class champion. The comeback kid has come all the way back to the top in American Flat Track. More titles to hand out. AFT Production Twins, their championship is on the line. Next. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Indian Motorcycle. Be legendary. By Vance & Hines, the presenting sponsor of AFT Twins. By Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys. If you go down, call Russ Brown. Welcome back. Final round of the 2019 American Flat Track Championship, the Meadowlands Mile, right outside of East Rutherford, New Jersey. Let's look back at our Production Twins class this year. Domination from Corey Texter. Corey Texter building up a bit of a legacy.
Corey Texter's been strong all year, 3 in a row. We see there Corey Texter still leading the points.
Ryan Barnes making a 2 for 1. Barnes absolutely pulled away. There's the checkered flag for Barnes. First win of the season.
Colby Carlisle to the line, gets his first Production Twins win.
Consistency, normally Colby's calling card, and he is still entitled contention. Here are the points. Colby Carlisle, a second half surge to get back within distance of Corey Texter. It's not over yet.
Yeah, over the last 5 races, his worst finish has been 4th. A couple of victories in that time. Corey Texter started hot. It's been kind of faltering mid-season, so Colby Carlisle gonna have to go out there and win the race tonight and hope Corey Texter has a subpar night.
And Ryan Barnes has a shot at it, third of the points as well. He has been strong in the second half, so a lot of pressure on that 65. Corey Texter on the Yamaha. This is the first year that we've had this Production Twins Championship. So who's gonna go in the history books as the first to ever win this title? 1 race remains. Let's get it done here at the Meadowlands Mile. Texter on the 65, exactly what he needs. A great jump, and he'll lead them into turn 1.
Texter shot out of a cannon on the initial start there through 1 and 2. Huge lead already. He's got about a 10 bike length lead down the back straightaway.
I just can't believe how big a lead he has. Meanwhile, everyone else fighting and drafting each other. Gautier, who you just saw in the singles class on the Black Hills, Harley-Davidson 122, he's in the hunt. And I think you also got a good start by Carlisle there on the outside, battling for second.
Lowry making the move into second down the front straightaway here. Carlisle trying to draft by, but more importantly, Corey Texter after that first lap, over a half-second lead.
That was just incredible, the run he got, but now they're, starting to work together. Lowry almost throws it away, and it looks like Carlisle quickly making up ground and getting right back to the 65 of Texter.
Corey Texter went into 1. You can see probably just a little cautious, trying to get down in there nice and smooth. Carlisle sent it around the outside. You can see trying to make the move here to take the lead.
What strategy will Texter use? He does not have to beat Carlisle for the win, and he doesn't fight him off. Second place will be good enough. Carlisle's got to win and then hope for the best. The Flying Tomato is flying right now and starting to get away from Texter, but that's all right. If you're Texter, you just can't lose much more than this.
You can see Carlisle running the high side, got the throttle pegged. Texter kind of easing the bottom there through 1 and 2, running the low line, trying to make sure he keeps the bike nice and straight.
James Rispoli on the Harley-Davidson has moved up to 3rd. He will be the next threat for Texter. Texter loses that position. He's still okay for the title as well, but you never know how these riders are going to react when they're in a championship position for the first time in their career.
Corey Texter, all day today, you can see how much this championship meant to him. He was very nervous, kind of on edge. Going out there, got a great start. Oh, Carlisle with the problem.
Wait a minute. Will it be a mechanical problem? It's got to be a mechanical problem for the leader, and suddenly this has changed. It's over as far as Carlisle and the title and the race winner are concerned. Texter, a huge weight off his shoulders. Now we have to look for Ryan Barnes, who was only 3 points behind Carlisle, 3rd in the series. He would be the only other rider with a championship shot. The 71 or Rispoli, you don't care about any of that. You just want to go for the win. He's in 2nd place right now.
Corey Texter is going to have seen Carlisle, his bike break, know that, okay, I just got to be patient. But he's going to know Ryan Barnes was only 3 points behind, so he's got to watch for that. But right now, how do you go win a championship the best way? You go win a race.
Yeah, he has not actually won since he won the first 3 races of the season. Had a little mid-season lull, has come back pretty strong, Texter, the last couple of rounds. But this is exactly what he needed to take the pressure off. Your heart breaks for Carlisle, who's doing everything right to try to get the win and put the pressure on. He is now out. Rispoli under fire right now. Barnes is going for it.
Down the front straightaway here, we can see Texter with over a 20 bike length lead. You got Rispoli, Barnes, Cody Johncox back and forth. And Chad Coase, he's moved up to 5th.
Barnes halfway through this, trying to put Rispoli away and take 2nd and then set his sights on his championship rival up front. But Rispoli not having any of it. He gets Barnes back.
Into 3 there, Barnes trying to get under Rispoli. 2 different lines here off the corner. Can Rispoli carry that momentum around the outside? He can. He's going to hold on to 2nd.
A couple times it looked like Barnes had that low line dialed to take 2nd away. Rispoli holds him off again. Another shot with the draft. Barnes goes by for 2nd once again. Let's see what Rispoli can do.
Halfway through this race, we see Barnes and Rispoli both kind of take the bottom lane. Chad Coase, he's running the top now. Huge run off of turn 2, trying to get them both for 2nd.
Not even the Meadowlands Mile took 1.5 miles for him. He's running so far wide, lots of room to make moves. But Corey Texter out front right now. Corey Texter continues to lead our American Flat Track Production Twins main event. He's got a huge lead, really, for the championship at this point and in the race, and only a few laps left trying to win his first professional title. Chad Coase has moved up to 2nd while we are away at break.
Down the back straightaway there, Corey Texter, still a 15th bike length lead over Chad Coase as they roll into turn 3, coming 2 to go.
And time running out on Ryan Barnes. He's the last rider on this track. There you see him in the 68, who has a mathematical shot at taking the title away from Texter. He's fought hard from the back. 2 to go, though, and Texter is closing in on it.
Corey Texter, nice and smooth, doing what he has to do to win this championship. Chad Coase, gonna hang it out, running the outside right there. Is Texter slowing down?
Well, he doesn't have to win the race to win the title. He is really, something is wrong. He's backed it down way too much. What is happening now? He's coasting, and there goes Ryan Barnes by. Unbelievable. Could Barnes potentially inherit the championship with 1.5 laps to go?
Barnes gonna have to do something magical to try to chase down Chad Coase. Probably not gonna happen. A huge lead for Coase down the front straightaway, but where are the points gonna finish out here?
Well, remember, a couple other riders, such as Carlisle, are already out, so it won't be last place for Texter no matter what happens. Chad Coase, who we had in 4th at one point, is gonna go on, it appears, to take the win, but that's only half the story.
Texter was doing everything right.
Yes.
Had a huge lead, got the whole shot, was being smart. The bike let him down.
I cannot believe this. And Barnes, well, there's no way he can do this kind of math in his head. He's got to try to catch Coase and go for max points. He is closing in. But The checkered flag is now in sight. Varnes digging deep. He wants every point he can get, but it's only going to be second tonight. Chad Coase wins. And what are the points going to look like as both Carlisle and Texter, first and second in points, had bike problems in this main event? I can't believe this. Coase gets the win. There is Texter still coasting, and he knows. He just found out he's the champion. And he finds out from the legendary multi-time champion, Chris Carr. I don't know what happened to the motorcycle, but he's not gonna ask questions. All that matters is somehow he's still champ.
What drama in both these championships. Unbelievable. Corey Texter had the race won. Bike breaks down on him, still wins the championship.
I don't even know. Here's the points. Corey Texter is your 2019 AFT Production Twins champion by 8 over Ryan Varnes. Colby Carlisle, his bike breaks. He ends up third. Let's try to sort this all out with Kristen.
Corey, earning the championship in dramatic fashion. You coasted to the checkered flag. What happened in those final laps?
Man, I felt great. You know, the plan was to go out, be consistent, and bring this title home, and I was leading the race, and I felt awesome. Let's win this thing. And my biggest fear all week was, man, I hope the bike stays together. And then with 2 to go there, it sounded like chicken bones, and it came apart. But my team's so awesome, man. They put so much work into these bikes, and man, this is so cool. And then top it off, one of my good friends, Chad, won the race. So a little bummed we couldn't grab the win, but this title, I've been coming to these pro racing since I was 2 weeks old. You know, this is for my dad, man, and for my sister and my family. And it's so cool to see a Texter finally becoming a national champion at the professional level.
Yes, of course, his sister Shayna, a contender every year in the singles class. Here are tonight's Production Twins results. Coase with the win, Rispoli on the podium. Varnes came close, but ended up second. There you see Carlisle 11th. Let's go back to Kristen with the winner.
Chad, you're closing out the season with a win in the Production Twins class. Going into that race, all of the riders in the paddock were a little bit hesitant. They didn't know what to expect from the track. What did that track demand of you?
Yeah, it was super physically demanding, and I didn't do myself any favors. I got a bad start, but you know, I kind of actually faded back, and I honestly didn't anticipate winning that race after the start. But I kind of just settled in and started picking guys off one by one, and I realized that high line was really working for me. And I was the fastest guy on the track, and I was like, man, I owe it to all my guys for working hard all year to try to go out and win this thing, and that's exactly what we did.
So much drama tonight. If you're this man, Briar Bauman, you're happy. Your title's already wrapped up. The AFT Twins presented by Vance & Hines class main event is next. One race remains in the American Flat Track Series for 2019. It is our Twins main event for the Meadowlands Mile here in New Jersey. First, Dunlop Tire Talk for the night.
Yeah, the riders had the option to choose between the R8, which is the softer compound, or the R10, which is the harder compound. Feeling like it really had the performance characteristic to go out there and win this race tonight. All the riders felt like that soft R8 tire would go get the job done.
So that's Dunlop Tire Talk. Last race of the year, Jared Mees not going to repeat as champion, but there is still something on the line. He wants to sweep every mile this season. Let's send it to Kristen.
Jared, undefeated on the miles this season. How do you treat this race now that the championship has already been decided?
You know, I mean, the championship produces so much pressure, but also a lot of fun. Obviously, the pressure's definitely off. We're going back to number 9 next year, which I actually do like that number. And now I want to go out there and finish strong. We won last weekend in Minnesota, so want to come out and win the last race here at Meadowlands at a place that I never won before, and sure, sweep the miles while I'm at it.
Here's your starting lineup for the main event. Bronson Bauman, solid. He will be second on the grid. Brian Smith, rebuilding the program in the Crosley-Howerton machine. We'll see if the mile master, maybe he can stop Mees tonight.
Yeah, been a difficult year. Brian Smith wants to get that Kawasaki on top of the podium, finish the year off strong.
Now, due to the changing track conditions during this event, in coordination with the riders, they decided to make this Twins main event 8 laps. So we're going to do 8 here at the Meadowlands Mile. Several contenders. Jeffrey Carver always fast in the mile, and Briar Bauman is your champion, still yet to win a mile race in his career. He wants it badly tonight. Let's go racing for the last time in 2019. What a huge jump of the start, and it's Briar Bauman. Well, that's going to make it difficult to win. He's going to the back of the grid, and that might be it for his hopes or chances to win a mile race this year. But in a mile, you can make passes. There's a draft. I suppose it's not completely over, but it's going to be very difficult.
Being an 8-lap main event, this restart for him is going to be very critical to get around a lot of riders getting into turn 1.
So once again, we're ready for our final race of the year. The Meadowlands Mile is underway. Bronson Bauman all the way down to the inside, but he's going to get edged out. It looks like a classic Jared Mees, Brian Smith battle into the first turn.
Jared Mees chose the outside on the start, was able to get across everybody into turn 1, get a great drive down the back straightaway. Here we see Jeffrey Carver, Brian Smith battling for second.
Yeah, Carver right in there. Running the high line in 1 and 2, running the high line here in 3 and 4, trying to keep Smith honest, who's down on the low line.
We have seen Jared Mees all year in these main events on the miles kind of pace himself early and then start to stretch the gap, figure out where he's the strongest. 8-lap main event, he's just wide open the whole time.
Yeah, and I think Brian Smith knows that. He is going back after Mees. Also got to watch the 44. Yeah, Robinson jumping back on that Vance & Hines Harley-Davidson at our last race and looking very good on it. He's going for third, wants to take it away from Carver.
See Bronson Bauman in the background there running 5th. 3-rider battle for third, but the 2 riders are starting to get away up front. Jared Mees and Brian Smith has caught him, is on the backside of him down the front straightaway here, completing lap number 2.
Oh, we missed this all year. These two are rivals for years and years and years, and they have put on some of the all-time classic races on mile tracks. Looks like Smith has that Howerton Crosley machine figured out. He wants to challenge Mees, and Bronson Bauman wants to challenge Robinson and Carver for third.
Carver off of turn 2 here. We ride on board the Indian motorcycle on board. We see Brandon Robinson get around him, getting into turn 3.
They call Carver the Wizard. He's one of the very cerebral riders out here. He's going to experiment with that outside line, see if he can make it work after a few laps. But right now, Robinson's got him pegged. Bronson Bauman right there. Have not seen a sign of Briar, so I think his hopes of winning this race, we're already halfway through. I don't think that's going to happen. Let's see if his younger brother can make a run for it, though. He's battling Carver hard.
See Bronson try to ride through the middle there, getting roosted off of turn 2, off of Brandon Robinson's bike. Jeffrey Carver got a better run this time around the outside.
Brian Smith camped out on the rear tire of Jared Mees. Is he close enough to use the draft? He's got to get a drive out of this corner, and let's see if he can go for it.
The SNS on board here, Jared Mees, we can see still kind of holding that half a second gap over Brian Smith into turn 1. Brian Smith trying to find a different line, trying to stay out of the roost. You can see him there running through the middle. Jared Mees struggling off turn 2. Brian Smith, huge run down the back straightaway.
Here's the charge from Smith. About as close as he has been since the first lap. But it's still not close enough. You have remarked on this all year, AJ. For some reason, they're not able to draft by Mees as much as they are everyone else. He's got this solved in a way you don't normally see.
Feel like when he grabs the throttle, that Indian horsepower down the straightaways helps a lot, but we see Brian Smith trying to stay in the draft. He's going to go to the middle again in 1 and 2.
Now switching from the middle to the high line, Bronson Bauman, he's in a torrid fight with both Carver and Robinson. He makes the move now on Robinson, wants to finish the year with a podium. He is third in the points. Now Smith is fast enough and close enough. Can he use the draft? Will he wait perhaps to the very end?
Jared Mees seems like he struggles in 1 and 2, but through 3 and 4 here, really good run in the bottom of the racetrack. Brian Smith trying to stay tucked in his draft, coming 2 to go here.
A classic between these two. One-time friends, then title rivals. They've got a lot of stories to tell about each other. A little mistake there for Mees. Here's the run on the outside from Smith.
Brian Smith a little higher this time off turn 2, trying to get the big run. Can he get in that draft behind Jared Mees? But that Indian horsepower down the back straightaway again.
Yeah, every time you think, okay, they're going to draft past him now, Mees able to answer. So time running out now for Brian Smith to make a bid for his first win of the season. Mees trying to sweep every mile in 2019.
Jared Mees this time about an extra 2 or 3 bike lengths this lap over Brian Smith. I think Smith is gonna have to do everything he can, hold it wide open through 1 and 2 here, and get a huge run down the back straightaway to have a chance at Jared Mees.
He's tried so many different lines. Oh, a little look over the shoulder because Mees has to measure the lap traffic. They split around the lap rider. Smith is as close as he has been. Here's his chance. But he's gonna have to drive past him down the front stretch, which we have not seen anyone do to Mees this year.
Hasn't worked one time because Jared Mees, can he do it again?
Here it is, final checker flag of the season in sight. It's not gonna happen for Smith. Jared Mees sweeps the miles in 2019. And Bronson Bauman gonna bring it across in 3rd. Brian Smith, his best run of the year. He'll finish up in 2nd. Good to see as they rebuild that Crosley-Howerton program with the Kawasaki engine. They're getting stronger with each race. You know Smith will be back to try to win some of these next year. And do congratulate each other. Like I said, they've got stories to tell. They've raced each other hard through the years. Robinson ends up 4th, Wiles 5th. And nowhere to be seen, even in the top 10, is Briar Bauman. He was on a cruise with that championship locked up.
Got that little victory celebration, championship celebration. That's what happens when you clinch it 1 race early.
Oh yeah, here's the Motul move of the race. Jared Mees getting it done early.
It all started off the line. You see Jared Mees on the outside there, closing the door, getting into turn 1. See Brian Smith kind of had to check up a little bit there, and that was the gap that allowed Jared Mees to really get away.
It was very close then, but Smith was not able to get closer than that. So Jared Mees has the win. Let's send it to Kristen.
Jared Mees with 8 wins this season and undefeated on the miles this year. Scotty Parker, the only other rider to ever be undefeated on the miles in 1 season. Jared, this track known for fostering dynamic races. What challenges were you presented with tonight?
You know, I wanted to come in and, you know, obviously the championship was decided last week. And once again, congratulations to Briar Bauman. He ran phenomenal all season long. And, you know, just wanted to come in and finish off doing the miles. It's something Scotty Parker did. But, man, honestly, when he did it, I think there was like 10 of them. So we did what we had to do today and to go in the last race of the season and win. And then the off season, of course, you always want to end on a high note. But big, huge hats off to my entire team, Indian Motorcycle, Progressive Insurance, Hernley's Indian, Rogers Racing, SDI Insulation. It's been a great pleasure to work with such an awesome team, and I'm looking forward to next year.
Oh yeah, he'll be back to try to get that #1 plate again in 2020. You can bet on it. He was fast this year, especially on the fastest tracks. American Flat Track on NBCSN is brought to you by Vance & Hines, the presenting sponsor of AFT Twins. By Roof Systems of Dallas, Texas, the entitlement sponsor of AFT Singles. And by American Flat Tracker Clothing Company. Find your groove at AmericanFlatTracker.com. Sunoco Go the Distance Award, Bronson Bauman wins it for the year, compiling the most miles in practice, qualifying, and racing throughout the 2019 season. And more good news for him, it's a career high in points, 3rd, and 3rd in tonight's race. So although Briar gets the lion's share of the attention, a big season for his younger brother also.
For sure, for both Bauman brothers. Bronson be able to win his first career event strong for a brothership in Factory Indian, sweep the top 3.
Pretty impressive. Let's send it back to Kristen.
Bronson, you snuck into 3rd during that race, but also secured 3rd overall in the season standings. Bronson, what did you learn about yourself this season, considering how you finished last year and the great improvement you had in 2019?
First thing I learned was, you know, I have an amazing team behind me. The entire Indian Motorcycle Power Bike Progressive. You know, from Dave Z to Cletus to Michelle, we're a well-oiled machine, and we're only getting better from here in my eyes. And I've learned a lot about myself. You know, I've had a lot of maturing to do, and just growing up, you know, it really carried over in life to be a better racer. And I feel better. I'm more confident about myself, and I'm in one of the best shapes of my life. And I love the sport.
And so does Brian Smith. That's why he did not give up on getting that elusive win in 2019. He was close tonight.
Heck yeah, it's time to start a new streak, I guess, is the only good way to look at it. But this season's been motivating for 2020. We'll leave it at that.
Well, it's been a great season. Congrats to our new champions. And we had a lot of fun giving the call all year, too.
It was the most fun I've ever had, being able to watch American Flat Track racing up close and personal, to be able to see such great racing 3 deserving championships. What a year.
Absolutely. So we congratulate Dalton Gautier, Corey Texter, and Briar Bauman, our champions. Our race winner in the twins class, Jared Mees, for AJ Allmendinger and Kristen Beat. I'm Jason Wygant. We'll see you next year.